Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie, and this week on Arrow, Huntress came back and gave us a nice look of what future Birds of Prey episodes might look like in Season 3 and beyond. There was a lot of secret identities being revealed, being teased, as well as Slade making a major move against Oliver. So let's start with the really big question, letting that darkness in. How far gone is too far gone? Let's look at what happened to Helena in the episode and then apply that to Slade's character. Real quick though, next week is the Deathstroke episode. If you have any questions about that or about this episode, Birds of Prey, just leave them in the comments and I'll include them in my Q&A tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to get that too. So as we try to connect the dots between what happened to Huntress in this episode and Slade's character, let's talk about our top 5 moments and then I'll do my review. Careful for potential spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet, but number 5, secret identities are being revealed. Felicity's quote heavily foreshadows the next couple of episodes. It's getting really hard to tell who knows whose secret identity. Mark Guggenheim revealed that more people are going to learn Oliver's secret identity. Based on the situation Thea got herself into in the last couple of minutes, and the cell phone moment that Detective Lance had with Oliver, I think it's safe to say that both of them are going to learn who's been shooting all those baby arrows around. Detective Lance in particular has been getting more and more complicit with the Arrow since Sarah started working with him. It's like he's an unspoken member of the team now. Jim Gordon never learned Batman's identity, or at least never let it show that he knew. I think it was kind of implied that he figured it out. I really hope that Detective Lance kind of does the same thing with Oliver. I want him to figure it out, but I like the idea of Oliver not knowing that he knows. Thea, on the other hand, is probably not going to take it very well, especially since everyone has been lying to her. It really just feels like they're clearing the path for Merlin to swoop back in. My John Barrowman cameo meter is so off the scale right now. I also really thought the Canary was going to reveal herself to Laurel, which I think is coming eventually. Remember the title of episode 19, it's The Man Under the Hood. That's mostly a reference to Oliver, but that doesn't mean that the Canary couldn't also out herself to Laurel. Pretty soon it's going to be open war against people in masks in Starling City, heroes and villains too. Number 4, for the record, don't call me Speedy. Mark Guggenheim keeps using the Arsenal name whenever he talks about Roy, but technically they haven't really said on anything yet. Oliver called Roy Speedy, not because he wanted to give him that nickname, but just because he wanted to remind him of Thea to shock him out of his Mirakuru-induced rage coma. It's possible that if Thea is the one to die this season, Roy could take up the name Speedy to honor her. The list of candidates of people who Slade might kill is really being localized to Oliver's family, Thea just being the biggest teaser going into next week. More on the Mirakuru rage coma though, it seemed like Roy agreed with Oliver's request to keep her at a distance, so I don't expect Slade to turn Roy against him, but I do think the writers will tease that in episode 20. The title of that is called Seeing Red, which obviously implies, getting angry, and they keep focusing on how pissed off Roy is. Like that last scene with him smashing the bracelet. I think it's the writers just teasing us that Roy is going to let the darkness in just a little bit more. And following up on that, number 3, Laurel lets the darkness in. Her last scene just felt so sinister, but I think they just want us to think that Laurel isn't going to use baby arrows to go after what she wants anymore, teeing up a potential future confrontation with Brother Blood. It really feels like with Oliver going after Slade, she'll be the one responsible for dealing with his underlings, which is Brother Blood. Earlier this year though, everyone was kind of wondering if they would kill Sarah off and use that as the catalyst for Laurel to become the true Black Canary. As much as she's course-corrected her life, with the AA meetings, I don't feel like that's going to happen though. It just feels like they're investing so much in Katie Lotz's Canary that it would be a complete waste of an amazing character to kill her off right after teasing a Birds of Prey team up in a future season. If you're not convinced about that, really it's that last scene, with her going into prison that tease up the idea that Amanda Waller could always come in, induct her into the Suicide Squad, thus bringing about a future Birds of Prey episode. Hopefully she'll be back before the end of the season. It would be amazing to see her fight with the Suicide Squad against Slade. Speaking of fight scenes, number 2, the Canary versus the Huntress. 2 awesome fight scenes with some great Oliver jokes. Just making fun of the fact that Oliver definitely has a type, and that type is stabby girls in black leather. Don't judge yourself if you are also turned on by this. The fight scenes were amazing though, both of them, especially Canary getting pushed out that window. On the other side of that coin, I thought it was really nice that Sarah's only reaction to learning about Oliver's relationship with the Huntress was just subtle bemusement. It's one of the things I think Arrow has been doing really well, not defining its female characters in terms of their sexual relationships with the male characters. I also have to thank the writers profusely for downplaying the love triangles. I'm sure Tumblr has some really funny Slade Oliver ships though. Generally, I try to avoid posts like that though, just so I don't have to burn my eyes out after seeing them. And my number one moment, Slade takes Thea, setting the stage for the beginning of the end of this season. Remember, my big question, how far gone is too far gone for Slade? Oliver tried to kill him on the island, so obviously something really awful happened that we haven't seen yet. But taking Thea with the assumption that he'll threaten to kill her kind of makes it seem like that's what's going to be the point of no return. They haven't mentioned Jericho or Ravager in the last several episodes, but I'm still holding out hope that Oliver will use them to try and bring Slade back mentally, bring him out of that Mirakuru-induced rage coma. The next episode, Deathstroke, is actually a deep dive into Slade's head. It's really like a complete Slade story for an hour, connecting more dots from what happened on the island to what's happening right now. We'll also get more of an explanation of what the Mirakuru has done to his brain, because it's really the reason all this is happening. The entire episode was spent mirroring the Huntress's story with Slade's, and she found some redemption, or at least came back to sanity by the end. And I think that that's foreshadowing that Oliver will be able to redeem Slade at least a little bit. Not completely, because I'm hoping that Slade continues to develop as Deathstroke the Mercenary, at least in future seasons, but, Oliver redeeming him enough to stop him from trying to destroy his family. That being said, no matter what happens this season, they're going to be frenemies for life, just given all that's gone down between them. But now it's your turn to answer my question, will Oliver ever be able to redeem Slade? And is there any way to get the darkness out once you let it in? Overall, the episode was a solid B+ for amazing use of the Huntress. I loved her character and, how dark they made her. The last time we saw her in Season 1, she was pissed off and stabby, and this time she was a full-on killer. Not so much that she couldn't find some redemption, but it seemed like her Helena persona had returned by the end, whereas at the beginning it wasn't even there. I am so hoping that Amanda Waller pays her a visit soon. How else are they going to be able to do a Birds of Prey episode if she doesn't? Felicity actually had one of the best lines in the episode though, even though it feels like she was barely part of the story. Superheroes will be unmasked. Ultimately, I think resulting in the growth of Team Arrow. It's getting really crowded in that basement. Remember, there is still the threat of a major character dying. Currently, Thea just shot to the top of that list. So let me know, who do you think is going to die this season? Is it going to be Thea? Is it going to be Sarah? Or is it going to be Moira? Remember, I'm posting that Q&A video tomorrow, so leave all your questions in the comments below. Right now, click here to watch my video for last week's episode, and click here to get that Q&A video. I'll update the annotation as soon as I post it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. High fives.